Welcome. I am Sofia Lukszo, and I am full professor in the Energy and Industry Group at the Faculty of Technology, Policy and Management of the Delft University of Technology. In this module, we will address different EV incentive schemes and their impact on EV sales. Which incentive schemes are efficient and how should they be designed? In this lecture, we will have a closer look at some of the most used incentive schemes and try to explain why they did or did not work. Electric vehicles are a good choice for reducing exhaust pipe emission and improving local air quality. However, their local emissions depend on the way the electricity needed for charging is produced. Moreover, electric vehicles have other advantages. They reduce noise, their maintenance costs are lower, and they are cheaper to operate. In spite of all these advantages, electric vehicle adoption has been relatively slow. Research points out that there are three major business barriers in their adoption: the high purchase prices, limited driving distance range, and inconvenience in charging. When designing incentive schemes, it is good to keep these major hurdles in mind. In this lecture, we will mainly focus on the financial barrier, the high purchase cost. Electric vehicles currently are more expensive to buy, mainly because of the high cost for batteries. The purchase price of these vehicles can be substantially higher than the gasoline of diesel equivalents, often in the range of $15,000. Electric vehicles are, however, cheaper to own due to lower fuel and maintenance cost. In some cases, over the lifetime of a vehicle, the total cost of ownership for electric vehicles is actually lower. Yet, the adoption of electric vehicles remains rather slow. Many surveys point out that the high purchase cost is the most important barrier. During the purchase decision, future savings are valued up to 3 times as low as their actual monetary value would predict. When designing purchase incentives, it's therefore important that they have an impact on the direct purchase price. There are 3 main options that can be used by policymakers. Firstly, offering a direct or point-of-sale grant. Secondly, reduce the value-added tax. And thirdly, exempt exception vehicles from vehicles purchase taxes. Which option can be used in your country is often dependent on local rules and regulations. Purchase grants are mostly seen in the range of $2,500 to $7,500. There are, though, some exceptional cases in which the incentives reach up $15,000. Electric vehicles can then be cheaper when looking up the upfront purchase cost. Other options that are less efficient are the so-called post-purchase rebates. These include cashback options or income tax reduction. These are widely used in the United States. Just as future savings in maintenance and fuel cost, these post-purchase subsidies are valued less than point-of-sale grants. Besides lowering the purchase price of electric vehicles, it is good to combine such an incentive with higher taxes or disadvantages for gasoline vehicles. Purchase taxes for vehicles can be linked to their CO2 emission levels. This provides direct incentives to purchase gasoline-driven vehicles. A key example is Norway. In Norway, electric vehicles don't have to pay value-added tax nor purchases taxes. For heavier gasoline vehicles, the purchase tax can be an additional 100% of the original purchase price. This combination has made electric vehicles very popular, with nearly 50% of all new vehicles being electric in 2018. Other things that should be considered are that incentives should be dependent on income on the purchase price of the vehicle. As this image shows, the majority of persons that bought a more expensive Tesla Model S would still buy the vehicle without the tax incentive. However, for Nissan Leaf, a substantial portion would shy away from the purchase. The same rebate would lead to a relatively higher reduction in purchase price of the Nissan Leaf than of the Tesla Model S. To promote more electric vehicles for the lower end of the price segment, policymakers can decide to cap the incentive at a certain price point. For example, in Germany, cars priced over 50,000 euro are not eligible for the incentive. Plug-in electric vehicles are not always fully electric. The plug-in hybrid electric vehicle can also offer a substantial reduction in emissions. The plug-in hybrid can be a solution for those that have range anxiety or in countries in which the charging infrastructure is not yet sufficiently for longer trips. Research shows that plug-in hybrids with sufficient range can travel an equal number of electric kilometers compared to the short-ranged full electric vehicles. The example on the slide from a study in the United States shows that plug-in hybrid drive more on the monthly basis than their electric miles, but their electric miles are equivalent to full electric alternatives. They should therefore be eligible for a similar incentive as full electric vehicles. However, plug-in hybrids with lower electric ranges below 40 to 50 kilometers should receive lower incentives as their emission reduction is limited. If we look into the future, eventually the electric vehicle should become a product that does not need financial support. Phasing out, an incentive for phasing out should, however, not happen instantly. This slide shows that reduction in sales in Denmark after the EV incentive was removed. Too early removal could mean a market collapse. And gradual phase out is considered more efficient and could be combined with higher taxes for gasoline vehicles. On the one hand, provide the revenue sources for the incentive for electric vehicles and to allow the market to come to par. To wrap up, this lecture has provided us with some insights in how to design financial incentives to stimulate the sales of electric vehicles. Financial incentives can help to overcome one of the major barriers in electric vehicle adoption, the high purchase price. In the following lecture, we'll have a closer look at some non-financial recurring policy measures that can be taken to increase electric vehicle sales.